The Sigma 35mm f2 and the Sony 35mm f1.8 are two small and lightweight full-frame 35mm lenses with a very similar price tag, but which one is the best? Well, today, my friends, we are going to find out. When placed side by side, these lenses share a number of similar characteristics. They're both small but quite chunky, black, hard and cold and lifeless to the touch, which oddly reminds me of something. I can't think what. No, not that. My heart. I'm on about my heart, obviously. I mean, come on, keep your mind out the gutter, Christ. Disgusting! And anyway, what I'm trying to say is that they're both very similar in terms of size and weight, though the Sigma is ever so slightly heavier than the Sony due to the fact that it's almost entirely made from metal, whereas the Sony utilizes a mixture of metal and hard plastics. And as a result, the Sigma certainly feels like the higher quality option of the two. Let's put it this way, if I was going to describe these two lenses in terms of classic cinema throwbacks, then the Sigma lens would be RoboCop. Stay out of trouble. Whilst the Sony lens would kind of be Tin Man. Both of these lenses include a dust and splash-proof structure, complete with a rubber seal around the metal lens mount to help protect the innards of your camera from the elements. In terms of features, the Sigma includes an MF to AF switch, as well as a manual aperture ring. The Sony, on the other hand, opts for an MF to AF switch and a customizable AF lock button. When it comes to focusing manually, the Sigma has a smaller textured metal ring, whilst the Sony has a larger rubberized dial, which in truth is a lot easier to locate whilst your eye is up against the viewfinder. Although both dials rotate nice and smoothly, the Sony lens is much more responsive and easier to use, whilst the Sigma lens requires a much bigger rotation in order to complete a full focus pull, making it slightly more awkward to operate in comparison. As I've already mentioned, there's not really much separating these lenses in terms of price. In fact, on Amazon.co.uk, both of these lenses are currently priced at £549. It's only when we take a look at the price in US dollars that the Sony lens becomes the slightly more expensive option, costing $698 compared to the Sigma's price tag of $639. Because they're so closely matched, I'm going to award both of these lenses a point in terms of price. For build quality, the Sigma definitely has the edge with its much more luxurious finish. However, for handling, I'm going to award the point to the Sony, as the customizable button is arguably much more useful and is much easier to manually focus with. Both of these lenses work well with my Sony a7 Mark III's IAF and face detection, and when focusing in good lighting conditions, both lenses are quick to lock on and focus with no signs of hunting. In low light conditions, both lenses put in the same performance with no noticeable issues when picking out and locking onto a target. With Katie moving towards the camera while shooting at the lens's respective maximum apertures, neither lens missed a beat and they both managed to keep focus for every single shot. That means with a pretty flawless performance for both of these lenses in this round, both the Sigma and the Sony deserve a point. When shooting in video mode at the lens's respective maximum apertures, both lenses were able to keep up with Katie as she walked towards the camera. Repeating this test, but at a faster pace, yielded the same results. When focusing, both lenses are honestly very quiet, though our camera did pick up a very slight chirping noise from the Sigma during testing. You'll also notice in this footage just how rapid the Sony is when jumping between targets in video mode. This thing is lightning quick, whilst the Sigma was a little bit more sluggish to find its target. Focus breathing is unfortunately a problem for the Sigma lens. I'm having trouble. However, the Sony doesn't have any focus breathing at all, so this is definitely the better option of the two when it comes to capturing video. Now, despite the Sigma lens having some issues with focus breathing and also not being quite as rapid to focus in video mode compared to the Sony, I really didn't have any major problems with the Sigma, so I am going to award both of these lenses a point in this round. However, if focus breathing really is a deal breaker for you and you need a lens that is super quick to focus in video mode, then feel free to scratch off a point for Sigma in your own little scorebook that you're probably following along with at home. You are making notes, right? In our bokeh balls test, both lenses offer nice round orbs at the center, though towards the edges of the frame, the Sigma creates really squashed cat's eye shaped orbs, whilst the Sony offers a marginally better result with the bokeh balls appearing more rounded, albeit still not a perfect result. As for general bokeh quality, it's no real surprise that the slightly wider maximum aperture of the f1.8 Sony lens gives a slightly more pleasing bokeh that's softer and less textured when compared directly to the f2 Sigma option. So for this reason, I'm going to give Sony the winning point in this round. Both lenses suffer from flaring, though if I was going to be super picky, I would have to say that the Sigma footage is very marginally more washed out when compared to the Sony. When shooting wide open at the lens's respective maximum apertures, both lenses offer good center sharpness, though the Sony is the sharper of the two options. At the corners, the Sony again offers the best sharpness, with the Sigma's test chart image looking noticeably soft and smudgy in comparison. At each of the lens's minimum focusing distances, the Sony lens is able to focus ever so slightly closer than the Sigma, and you can now see that both lenses display signs of pincushion distortion, though I must say the Sigma is certainly much worse than the Sony. Zooming in, you can see that the Sony is still the sharper of the two lenses with a much crisper image. In our longitudinal chromatic aberration test, the Sigma lens shows green fringing at the top and red fringing at the bottom of the image, whilst the Sony lens displays a slightly more vibrant result with teal fringing at the top and magenta fringing below the area of sharp focus. Now, despite me nitpicking faults in these two lenses, I actually really enjoyed shooting with both of them for the day, and afterwards I was really happy to find that they both produced a wealth of sharp and vibrant images. Neither lens had any obvious or strong colour casts, so all of my images had true-to-life colours straight out of the camera, and there was no real need for any major colour correction in post-production. So at the end of this final round, the Sony has proven itself to be the best performing lens optically and rightfully deserves the final point in our contest. So despite the fact that the Sigma is obviously the nicest lens to look at, we all know that true beauty is skin deep. At least that's what my dear mama keeps telling me. Oh, mummy. And that means that the winner of this head-to-head contest has to be the Sony 35mm f1.8. If you're curious to find out how this Sony lens stands up against some of its other 35mm rivals, then be sure to check out these other videos over here. But before you do that, make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. It really helps the channel to grow. And also subscribe, because why not? We release videos just like this every single Friday.